Benjamin Dennison says being a university student has changed the way the Indigenous Australian thinks about history.
It wasn't until I got to uni, this place where we're taught to actually be critical and thinking about these things, that I started thinking about Australia as an invaded continent.
The term invaded is used in the University of New South Wales Indigenous Terminology Guide. It's a suggested option over the word discovered when referring to Captain James Cook's arrival here more than 200 years ago.
Let's face it, this country was invaded. There were people living here, there were nations here that owned the land, that lived off the land, and someone turned up from nowhere and planted a flag in the middle of their country.
But not everyone shares that view. One newspaper called the guide a whitewash and accused the university of rewriting history.
This is a rubbish toolkit, I repeat, devised by the University of New South Wales, which represents anti-intellectualism and political correctness at its worst.
The university stresses the guide is not required reading for all students. It goes on to say that teachers can choose to use it as a resource that they want in their classes. Andrew Meehan is the National Director for an Indigenous advocacy organization called ANTAR.
Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people can expect to be locked up at 13 times the rate of other Australians. Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander women are hospitalised at 35 times the rate of other Australian women.
And Indigenous Australians still don't have the same constitutional protections as non-Indigenous people. The university's guide also suggests referring to Captain Cook as the first Englishman to map the continent's east coast instead of discovering Australia. Benjamin Dennison has formed his own opinion.
As an Indigenous Australian, it is my truth that Australia was invaded.
But he says he's glad people on both sides of the debate are talking and hopes that conversation will include the issues that continue to face Indigenous people today. Greg Navarro, CCTV, Sydney.